And we're back.
Welcome back. So we're going to continue on with our healing after the trauma. After the trauma. Let's put it that way, maybe.
Yeah, once you've gotten out of that trauma bond.
And you're getting yourself back together, because clearly we know that once you've been through this, you definitely are a hot mess when you come out of it. So the biggest, well, no, I shouldn't say the biggest thing. There are a lot of big things in this, but refraining from negative thoughts and beliefs. So what you can do is challenge negative self-talk. Identify and challenge it. The thoughts and beliefs about yourself. We talked a little bit about that earlier, but I mean, it's really a matter of redefining your lifestyle, redefining your life, getting back to what you like, because a lot of times we lose all of that. I'm still trying to figure out what I like. Trying new things and exploring different things. But so with me, I have a lot of bad memories around, like travel. It's really difficult for me to, unless I'm by myself, then I'm all right, because, or like you and I, we went. So my biggest thing is I wanted to go to the ocean. Yee! We got to go to the ocean last weekend, and it was phenomenal. But what I'm doing is I'm rebuilding memories. I'm taking in, and as I'm taking in the sights, I'm also feeling how I feel. And I know at this point, what I'm feeling is genuine. It's not a front for anything else. It's not, oh, I've got to mask my feelings so that their feelings don't get hurt, or I have to be in the background so they can do their thing and have all their glory. It's not like that anymore.
Yeah.
I've built myself up to be like, you know what, I am worthy. And that was a big thing for me. I am worthy of. And so refrain from negative thoughts and beliefs, but you have to replace them with something positive as a backing, because if you keep going back to those negative thoughts, then you're staying there. You're giving them your energy. And even today, I said, I'm pulling my power back. I started feeling a little funky, a little less than my huge, powerful, happy self that, I'm living my best life. And I started to get those little trickles of negativity coming in, and it's like, stop. I recognize that. I recognize that immediately. That is not who I am anymore. Those are not the thoughts that I give my energy to. So redefine everything.
Yeah, and I took it as like the thoughts themselves, because I used to say some really ugly stuff to myself.
Yeah.
But like the basic ones, like, don't cry, suck it up, or suck it up, buttercup, or I'll give you something to cry about, or I'll do something, I'm a stupid bitch, just like talking really ugly to myself.
Yeah.
But then my daughter was doing it, and she's like, I dropped this and I did that and I did this, and like, I'm just so stupid today, I'm just not thinking. And I'm like, no. Today you are the absent-minded professor.
Right.
You have got so much on your mind, so much energy is being used on other things that you're just not focused on what you're doing.
Right.
And so instead of calling yourself stupid and what are you thinking and like being ugly with yourself, it's like, whoop, we're the absent-minded professor today. I need to focus.
Yeah.
That way you're not being ugly to yourself.
Yeah. Because I just had that yesterday, where I had everything. I had the dropsies. I was absent-minded. I was messing up email addresses, and I recognized it. And so at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? It's been a trying day.
Yeah.
You're always going to have, it's never going to be perfect. But you know what? I did the best I could. I gave myself grace.
Yes.
This is something new that I'm learning. So I gave myself grace. And at the end of the day, I wasn't a blubbering pile of depressed, I'm such a terrible person.
Right.
And that felt good.
Definitely.
I mean, like, once you cross that crossed over that bridge of the point of no return, then that's when the growth is happening. And I love the fact that I was able to see my growth.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Okay, so practicing self-compassion, that's kind of what we were. Be kind and forgiving to yourself as you navigate the healing process. This didn't happen to you overnight.
No.
You have to give yourself grace and time and be gentle, because why are you going to beat yourself up? You got yourself in, well, I shouldn't say it this way, I guess. You got yourself in this situation. This is the way I looked at it. You got yourself in this situation. Now, what are you going to do to get yourself out?
Mm-hmm.
Because you know that you have the capabilities of doing so.
Right. And for me, it was so bad when I first started the healing process and realized that I was being my own bully. I heard about a technique. I don't know where. I'd love to give credit, but I don't know where it came from. I put a childhood picture of myself as my screensaver on my phone.
Yep.
And whenever that ugly talk would start, I would look at that picture. Now, sometimes that helped, but not much. I got kids, I got grandkids, I've got little grandkids. And so I thought to myself, would I say those things? Like if my grandbaby dropped a cup of milk, would I be like, you stupid bitch?
Right.
No,
not
I
in a
wouldn't
million
say
years.
that to them.
Right.
And so why would I say that to me? Because that childhood me is still in there.
Yep.
And so if I wouldn't say it to them,
Yep.
I am not going to say it to myself.
She deserves better.
Yeah. And I need to learn to love me the way I love them.
Yeah.
Because I deserve it.
Exactly.
And so it's taken me a couple of years, but I don't have negative self-talk anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Never, ever. It used to slip and I'd catch it every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even tell you the last time
Right.
I bullied myself.
Yay,
Yeah.
good for you.
Right?
Good.
And that frees up your mind.
Yes.
Like, I've usually got several tabs going, but that ugly one, that it's gone. And there's more
room for better.
quiet time. I actually have moments of no thoughts.
Yeah.
And they catch me off guard because there's always like several layers of thoughts going at once. But now every once in a while, it's just quiet.
Yeah. And I feel like as I'm healing, I'm becoming more in the present rather than fight or flight mode, which I'll tell you, transitioning through that from fight or flight to the not so, where you can have those quiet moments and where you stop and you're just like, wow, everything is just perfect right now. This moment is magnanimous. And one of the things with that is the more you get those thoughts coming, it's like an algorithm. It keeps coming back, and those thoughts become more prominent than these thoughts back here. And then pretty soon, like I was telling Nikki about my card catalog. It was a couple weeks ago, and it was like I was in meditation, and I'm like, what do I do with all these thoughts? Well, she works at the library, which now they don't have card catalogs unless you find an old library that didn't get rid of them. But it was like I organized my brain. Like everything went into its slot, and I have those memories if I need them, good, bad, or indifferent. I still have them, and I'm okay with them because they're part of me. They're part of what happened. But then I have like my boxes that, okay, like I'm gonna put you here because I'm not quite ready to do that yet. You're not far away, but you're just right now, you're in a containment that can't hurt me. So when I'm ready to take you out of your little container, Hopefully you haven't suffocated. I'm just kidding.
Right. But it's not buried in the basement anymore.
Right.
Like, it's accessible.
Exactly. And then I take a piece at a time that I can process it until I get it fully processed. And then I don't need the box anymore. It'll just go into the card catalog with the memory. So that works for me because I have that analytical brain. But find what works for you. Like,
right.
That's going to be your biggest, strength and focus on your strengths and values. So remember your positive qualities and the things you value about yourself. So, yeah, I'll let you have one.
Yeah, and like we stated before, it might take you a minute to remember those positive things about yourself.
Yeah.
But the more you do it and stay consistent with it, the more
it becomes
you'll remember.
It becomes a habit. It becomes, what did I say earlier? It just it becomes an automatic.
Yeah.
I lived my whole life on autopilot.
Right. And your brain believes what you tell it.
Oh, yeah.
And
very much so.
If you start telling it the positive things, you will start believing it.
It took me probably 2 months of a daily affirmation of being thankful before, after like 2 weeks, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe. And then a month, I guess we're getting closer. But after 2 months, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm thankful. Let's go. So it repetition. And there were times that I sat and bawled through the whole affirmation video.
Yeah.
Like, just bawled the whole time because I'm like, God, I wish I could truly feel this. But now I did truly feel it. But it was the repetition.
And that's a good thing too, because the whole finding good things about yourself, I had none.
Yeah.
That I could think of at the time.
Yeah.
And so what I did instead was, that's when my gratitude list started. Is, okay, I can't find anything decent about me because I'm a worthless, useless, hopeless, helpless piece of shit. So let me find things I'm thankful for.
Yeah.
I guess I'm thankful I woke up today. That could go either way, but I'm going to say I'm thankful that I'm still here.
Yep.
I did eat today. And I just found the most basic things I could think of at the time to be thankful for.
Yep.
And once that started growing, honest to goodness, if I started it in my head, I could go forever now. Because it's just one thing leads to another. But then somehow in that process, well, if I was such a worthless, helpless, hopeless, disgusting POS, why would I have all these things I'm thankful for? So some part of me that I can't quite recognize yet must be, and here's the word, worthy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Regain your worth.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is yet, but it came, and it came. And so
that's part of the healing process.
Yeah, but it takes time and persistence. Like, you've got to, if you lay in bed at night, run through it at night before you go to sleep. Or when you wake up, or you have to find a time that's good for you, that you can do it every day.
Yeah. And I would, when I got up in the morning, and even in the shower, listening to it, I had to use self-discipline to listen to it every day. Like, oh, I haven't turned it on today. Here we go. Turn it on. Even if it was on my way to work, turn it on. You got it. You've got to do this. And I don't so then the question becomes, how do you force yourself? What about those people that say, I just can't?
Well, I say, if you were to look at it from the outside, look at all the things you were forced to do in this relationship. You were forced to not speak up, hide your emotions, take the beating, wear the masks, do everything that you had to do to make your partner, mother, whoever it is, happy.
Yeah.
You were forced to do those things all the time with the threat of punishment.
Mm-hmm.
Try to convince yourself that this is worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I could go through all of that,
Yeah.
I can listen to this 5-minute affirmation, and the result of that's not going to be getting my ass beat.
Right.
It's going to be feeling better about myself. Like, it has a positive outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And it just comes down to, even if you don't feel like you're worthy of it, or you don't, you have to want it.
Yeah.
Even if you don't want it. Like, I don't want to do it stupid.
Yeah.
I'll do it just to prove it's stupid. Like what my son says, the best motivator is spite.
And that's definitely
Like, find whatever
good
works
motivator.
for you
Yeah.
to get yourself to, like, trick yourself into doing it.
I like what you said about, like, you're gonna put yourself through all of that for someone other than yourself,
But not listen to a 5-minute.
but not listen to a
Affirmation.
5-minute, or just even give yourself one good compliment a day.
Yeah.
You know, hey, I like my shoelaces today.
Yeah.
I like the hair tie that I have in my hair. It's my favorite one. Or my favorite outfit.
Yeah.
Even if it's just sweats and a t-shirt, which
I got
That's
dressed
easy.
today.
yeah. I feel comfortable.
You know what's a really good thing to do? Like, they talk about it working for people with ADHD and all that stuff, which, yes, but it's also good for depression and kind of getting yourself out of the, put your shoes on.
Oh, no kidding.
Put your shoes on.
I think I heard that long time
Like, it
ago.
somehow it tells your brain you've got something to do and it wants to do something.
I will have to check that out. I want to try that.
Yeah, it works for me. Like, if I'm having one of those days, I don't want to do anything, I put my shoes on.
Wow.
And before I know it, I'm into all kinds of stuff.
Doing something or other.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay, let's
They say
see.
give yourself a high five in the mirror in the morning. You don't need to say nothing, just high five your reflection. Certain actions trigger the brain into believing certain things. Trick yourself into doing it.
Well, see, and that's what we used for coping. Growing up,
Yeah.
is we used those things to get us through whatever it was. Now we're just gonna redefine it
Yeah.
and change it into something more positive for ourselves.
But you're not using it to bury anything. You're
Mm-mm.
using it to motivate yourself, to heal yourself.
Yeah. To get back to where you love yourself, you're comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah.
Because that was another one. The comfortable in my own skin was not very.
Yeah. Okay, here's a tough one from myself.
Yeah.
Build healthy relationships.
Yes.
First of all, you have to learn what they are.
Yeah.
You understand what they look like, which includes mutual respect, trust, and so huge communication.
And then when I asked about other people, what's the most important thing that you would value in a healthy relationship? And communication was first and foremost, but also what type of communication? Because I've had somebody say, I'd say, oh, would you like me to do this? Yeah, that'd be nice. Okay, well, that wasn't what I was expecting to hear whatsoever.
Right.
So, oh my gosh, that would be so wonderful. This has been going on and I would appreciate the help. Like, two totally different forms of communication, still the same thing.
But even with the same words, be like, oh yeah, that'd be nice. Other than, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I've been hearing a lot about the difference between honesty and transparency.
Okay.
So I asked my partner, like, you were late getting home from work. Like, is everything okay? Oh yeah, I just had to, I stopped by the gym. That's honesty. You stopped by the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Transparency is, yeah, I had a super stressed out day at work. I didn't want to come home and bring that home to you, so I stopped by the gym, worked out, got that out of me,
Mm-hmm.
and then came home. Which that's kind of a lame example, but
No, I thought it
it's
was a
an
great
accurate
example.
example. Like,
Yeah.
in one, you're being honest.
Mm-hmm.
You told the truth about what you did,
Yeah.
but transparency is the whole picture.
Yeah.
Like more of the story.
Yeah, because then, see, now what I can take from that as the partner, oh, okay, so you had a rough day. You were thinking of your family before you came home, so you wanted to leave it at the gym. What can I do to help you have a better evening?
Right.
And I think rather than, oh, I stopped at the gym. Okay, well, there's no communication on emotional feelings.
And what if he'd have been equally as honest and just said, I didn't want to come home yet?
Ooh, that would hurt.
Right.
Yeah, you would take that as a different way. So yeah, the communication, and they may not have expected, like that
They didn't
may
mean
not
it
have
that
been
way,
their
right.
intention whatsoever. And now you have, wounds. You get defensive, you get hurt, you feel rejected, because if you didn't want to come home, I'm the only one that's home, so that must be the reason that you didn't want to come home.
But and that just makes me think, because I hear people say, well, they say they want me to be honest with them, but when I am, they get all butthurt about it.
Exactly.
And maybe that's why, because yes, they're being honest, but they're not being transparent.
Exactly. Yep.
So let that be a lesson to me to try to be transparent in my communications.
Yeah. But on the other hand, like I was just in my spiritual awakening, I think what I've learned over the years is that I have been super transparent. Overly.
What, are you being transparent or are you dumping?
Probably just more dumping. Without realizing that that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because I'm the one of those people that you ask me, hey, what'd you do yesterday? And you're going to get line by line,
The whole
detail by
itinerary.
detail. Because I feel like I have to explain everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that's another trauma response.
It is.
Is that you have to feel like you have to explain everything. So in my healing, I could have a page long text to you, but I'm going to reread it. And I'm going to take out everything that I think is irrelevant.
That's it. Yeah.
Because I'm one of those over-explainers. And so instead of saying, yeah, I'll be over at 3:00, which is what I do now. Yeah, so I'm going to get up at 8 and then I'm going to go do this and then I'm going to go do that. And then around 3:00, I think, never consistent, like structure, I don't know what you want to call it. Consistent, definite. Commitment. Oh, commitment. Because in my head, I'm thinking, I don't know if that's good. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if and then I end up overthinking everything, and it just becomes this big, kind of like I'm doing right now. Stop.
Yeah.
It's not, all of that information is not necessary.
Yeah.
So transparent, yes, but not necessarily to a fault.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. But if it's my partner, though, I'm going to want to be able to do that with them.
Well, and if they're your partner, they know you're like that and they have accepted that.
Yeah. Like if I get home and they're like, well, you're quiet. Yeah, I just didn't have a great day. Well, let's hear it because we know it needs to come out of there. You know what I mean? So Yeah. Again, communication, transparency.
But that is interesting though, because I had a conversation on the phone with somebody and I was like, oh, what'd you do today? And they gave me the itinerary.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, I don't need all of that. Like, did you work today? Were you chilling? Like,
Yeah.
just a basic overview is all I was looking for. I don't need to know your life like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, okay, I'm just used to. And it never dawned on me that that was a trauma response.
Mm-hmm.
But I used to I had to account for my whereabouts.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And now you don't. I mean, yeah, the communication, the transparency is important, but oversharing as a trauma response is not necessary.
Right. Well, but it's easy to do. I'm a dumper. I'm not so bad anymore.
Right, me either.
But when you find someone, and if you're looking for healthy relationships, and you find someone that actually listens to you and doesn't judge you,
Mm-hmm.
it's very easy to word vomit.
Mm-hmm.
Or in my case, and still not as bad as before, but I'm alone 99.9% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I went a week and 3 days once without uttering a word. And so when you stay so isolated for so long, finally someone calls or you meet with somebody, it's like I have to meet my quota. I haven't spoken for so long, so all the words have to come out.
Yeah.
I didn't learn how to regulate my communication, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to say all the stuff. I still do it, but not as bad as before.
Well, but too, I mean, like for me, my circle is very small, so you guys know what I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
and you love me for that. But like if you were you'd be like, Missy, man, it's been 2 hours now, and you're still on the same topic. Are you
Right.
okay?
But see, that's what's good about it, because we would do that.
Yeah.
Because, like, man, Cricket, you've already talked to me about this several times. But now I'm like, I don't remember who I tell what. So I'll be like, stop me if you've heard this.
Right.
Have I told you about the thing?
But in transparency, like, we know that we could say stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, I always envied those friends that could just, you know, be so honest with each other and be like, God, your breast stinks. Go get a mint, or you know what I mean? I always
Mhm.
wanted that kind of friendship with someone, but I was always afraid
Mm-hmm.
of being like who I am,
Mm-hmm.
for fear of rejection or this or that, or you know, like I think when I was little, I used to be quite the little jokester, and got in so much trouble for it that okay. Well, am I going to say nothing? Am I going to do this?
You learn to sit down and shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. As the healing continues, though,
Right.
like life is getting so much more funner.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you learn about healthy relationships, you focus and build healthy connections.
Mm-hmm.
You make a conscious effort to nurture and cultivate healthy relationships.
Yep.
This is so hard for me
Yeah.
because I was super shy, and then the upbringing and all of that, just I didn't want to make friends because first of all, nobody belonged to my cult, so I'm gonna have to watch y'all die in front of me. I don't want to be friends with you.
Mm-hmm.
But that I never, at a young age, learned how to make friends. So first of all, how do you do that? And then secondly, once you have a friend, how do you maintain that relationship? And so when I was doing the farmers markets, like, oh, she's cool, I like hanging out with her. So I had to I'm not a caller. I don't reach out. If I don't have something specific to say, I'm not calling you.
Right.
Hey, bye. Like, I don't,
I know, right?
right?
Yeah.
So I made a conscious effort to reach out to those people that I liked. And just that small talk crap, I don't know how to do it. I'm not good at it, but I did it because I want to make a friend and keep a friend, and that's supposedly what you do. But then I noticed they weren't reciprocating. Like the only time we talked was when we were forced to be together at the markets or when I reached out. And so I'm like, no, this isn't a friendship.
Right.
Because I'm the only one reaching out, and I don't want to be doing that in the first place.
Yeah.
So that's hard, especially for people that have been isolated, some of them their whole lives.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and too, just being treated like you're nothing.
Right.
So when you make those, one of the things that I noticed with me reaching out or communicating with people outside of here, so many times I had so much going on in here that I didn't think to ask them. Like I can't say this is a bad example for me personally, but I forget to check on them. You know what I mean? Like if I'm calling you and I'm just spewing all of my stuff every single day, and
like,
it's
oh yeah, hello,
yeah.
How are you?
Oh, by the way, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But so I had that problem. Well, I can't say it's a problem. I had that debacle in coming out of it, and because it was all about me. Like everything that I had gone through, everything that I endured, everything that was done to me, and I guess maybe just the victim mode. So maybe that's a thing. But in learning, maybe that was it too. Learning to socialize healthily. That's something new.
Yeah.
Learning how to socialize and not have it be, because I can remember talking to friends and blah 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 blah, and they're just like yeah and you're like, oh, by the way, how are you doing? And they have all of their stuff going on.
Right.
But yeah. Anyways.
But sometimes lightning strikes.
Woohoo!
Because this one walked into the shop and maybe 5 minutes we were in each other's presence and we barely talked.
I know, right?
But then I go home and I call my daughter and it's like, I just met my BFF for E and she doesn't even know it yet.
Yay!
And then it was like maybe a month later you came back in the shop and just...
You're like, oh, there you are.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You came back to me.
Inseparable.
Yeah, friends, it just, yeah, like magic.
And I remember like in my other days, I was always amazed because it was like people in spirit will do that. They put you in, it wasn't a mistake that you and I met.
No.
It wasn't a mistake that, I'm here. I love it. But so I still get surprised by that sometimes, though. My spirit works in mysterious ways. But yeah.
So you gotta focus on nurturing those healthy connections.
Yes.
And seek out supportive relationships. Surround yourself with people that are loving, caring, and understanding. But you want to make sure you don't do like what we were just talking about. I don't want to make friends with you just so I'll have someone to play victim and trauma dump on you, so you could be my whole and complete support system.
Yeah.
That is not healthy.
No, it's not. And like for me, when I got here, I was like, all right, I need to find like people. So I sought out my tribe, And that's how yeah. So, and you have to get creative. I mean, I got creative. I'm like, what do I like to do? I'm in a place where I don't know anybody. What do I like to do? Ooh, I like rock stores. So let's find the metaphysical shops in the area and go visit them and see if I can find my peeps.
Yeah.
And there you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Ooh. Mm-hmm.
Focus on the present moment.
Mm-hmm.
Practice mindfulness. Engage in activities that help you stay present and grounded.
Mm-hmm.
When I first heard of this, I thought it was the biggest load of bupkis I've ever heard of in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, y'all are stupid. Like, what is this crap?
Mm-hmm.
But now, I try to stay mindful. I try to stay in that energy, but you can't all the time.
No, we're not perfect.
Well, and different people are very completely lost the word. Like, they're very about it. So I'm going to, like the 5-5-5. 5 things you see, 5 things you smell, 5 things you hear, your senses.
Mm-hmm.
And so you focus on your body and your immediate environment and just really bring yourself to the present moment in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Through going through the class, I realized that I had been doing that my whole life without realizing it, because when I get nervous or anxious, which I was all the time,
Yeah.
I would rub my fabric of my shirt together. I would do this so I could feel my fingernail grate across my fingerprint.
Okay.
And I was grounding myself.
Yeah.
And getting myself in my body, or keeping myself in my body, and not realizing what I was doing.
Right.
When I go to bed at night,
Yeah.
I would tighten my muscles and let them go.
Yeah.
And get myself in the moment in my body.
Present. Yeah.
I did that so much, I can now tighten the muscles in my scalp.
Mm-hmm.
What? I still can't wiggle my eyeballs, but I can tighten my head muscles.
Yeah.
You could listen to music.
Mm-hmm.
You could, what are some other things you could do?
I've done guided meditations, but I listen to ocean.
A lot of people do the breathing thing.
Mm-hmm. I used to play cards because I have vision. I used to play cards, solitaire in my head.
Oh, wow.
Because, I mean, you have it on your phone and you see, and I would just picture it in my head, and that would help me fall asleep.
Okay.
Because it would make my mind think of something other than what was troubling
all the
me.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest, for myself, that's the biggest benefit of mindfulness, is it keeps all the thoughts away.
And I even, that's probably my favorite word, is just be mindful.
Mm-hmm.
And I use that for me with myself, but for other people as well, because like we've been in situations where you sit down and you hear people talk and you don't necessarily agree with them, but I'm mindful that that's their thought.
Mm-hmm.
I'm respectful that that's how they're feeling at the moment, and you do you, boo.
Right.
So I love the mind. That's my favorite. Like one of my favorite words is to be mindful. Not just with yourself.
Right.
Ooh, excuse me.
You do want to ground yourself, like use grounding techniques to connect with your body and reduce feelings of overwhelm.
Mm-hmm.
So we already touched on a few, like my weird little thing. So if you ever see me doing that, like, I'm stressed.
Okay, that's good to know.
But I don't realize it.
My sister shakes her leg,
Yeah.
and it like vibrates the whole floor. You can tell when she's nervous.
Yeah. But like, a lot of people do a lot of, because I feel like the grounding yourself
Mm-hmm.
and like reconnecting with your body, it could be done through dance or sitting in the grass or sitting by a body of water or in a body of water,
Mm-hmm.
taking a shower. But I see it as meditation as well,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes I'm the most grounded when I'm washing dishes, because that's kind of, you don't think, you're focused on the task to the point of you're zoned out.
Yeah.
And to me, that's grounding.
Mm-hmm.
So really anything you can do
Yeah.
that makes you feel connected to yourself. And for myself, it's also connected to Mother Earth, because I think I'm just a child of the earth.
Oh, of course. I think so. You taught me how to talk to the trees
And then
and talk to the ocean.
I did.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Remember that you are safe. Remind yourself that you're safe and that your past doesn't define your future.
You are so right on that one.
And that has been one of the biggest things for me
Mm-hmm.
in every single area of my life.
Yeah.
You're safe. You don't have to worry about that anymore.
No.
Like, I'm an adult.
I know, right?
I'm a grown up. I don't have to worry about being punished anymore.
No, you can't get in trouble.
Well,
an adult.
in these relationships, I
Wow.
felt like I could.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, but now, like,
But that's one of those boundaries that you set up. Like, I'm an adult. You know, don't treat me like I'm 12.
right.
Don't act. Ooh.
Well, and the thing is, too, you can treat me however you think you want to treat me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to be around for it.
Mm-mm. No.
Because if I'm treated that way in this situation or around this person, I'm going to remove myself.
Yeah.
Because it's not other people's responsibilities to uphold our boundaries.
Right.
It's ours.
Absolutely.
If someone continuously crosses your boundary, that's on them. It's your job to decide whether or not you're going to cross your own boundary by remaining in that situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no matter what you choose to do, you're safe.
Yeah.
And you honor you. That's such a big thing.
Yes.
Even when it comes to dieting, or I've always been scared to do things by myself or go places by myself, especially new places.
Yeah.
What's the worst that can happen? My car break down?
Maybe.
There are things for that. I know how to change a tire. I know how to call a tow
Roadside
truck.
assistance.
Right. But like my first husband, he would never let me do anything, but it wasn't a no. It's like my brother came down and he wanted to take me to something and like, oh no, you can't do that because people there are crazy and it's going to be really crowded. You could get kidnapped or
Mhm.
it's like all of these worst case scenarios.
Be careful. It's really dangerous in Houston.
Yeah, like every time my brother, my mama, and that's my only friends, you know, never with my sister. They hated my sister. But everything came with this barrage of worst case scenarios.
Mhm.
And I'm already fearful growing up in the cult,
Yeah.
because everything not of the cult's the devil and
Right.
bad.
Death and destruction, burning.
Yeah, so I was scared of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. But now, when I look back, my neighbor lady, I've accidentally killed somebody. I've died. I've been beat, raped, all the stuff I've been through.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is anybody gonna do to me now
Right.
that hasn't already been done to me?
Right.
And I survived all that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You can't.
Right.
I feel like I know in a sense, like invincible. Like I'm unhurtable.
Mm-hmm.
When people are like, I don't mean to hurt your feelings, like that's not gonna happen.
Right.
Like you can't offend me. You can't hurt my feelings. You can say what you gotta say, do what you gotta do.
Yeah. See, and I would much rather.
I've survived everything.
Yeah. I would much rather have you say what you're going to say or do what you're going to do than try and bullshit me.
Right. Or sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
Because then you're so worried about hurting feelings or offending somebody that you don't just come out and say the things. So it's not going to be a clear message anyway.
Right.
Like, just say what you got to say.
Yeah. Yeah. And be mindful, because I'm not going to say, oh my God, you stupid bitch, what are you doing that for? Be like, you know what? Maybe we should try it a different way.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Intention, if I know it's coming from a loving place, like, you literally can say anything. Because I know it's coming from a loving place.
Right. The intention behind it.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're safe.
Yeah, and you know, once you get out of that scenario, that situation, then yeah.
The biggest thing for me was learning to trust myself. Trust that I can keep myself safe.
Yeah.
Trust that I can keep myself healthy.
Yeah.
Trust that I'm smart. And I've noticed that the things that people put you down for the worst, you're stupid, you're ugly, those were the things I was good at.
Yep.
Those are the things that intimidated them.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're having a hard time finding good things about yourself, look to the things that people put you down for first.
Mm-hmm.
Because they always hit you.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I was an overachiever. That was the bad thing.
Oh, how horrible.
I know, right?
But that's a good thing to be.
That's because they weren't.
Right.
Like they didn't.
They were intimidated.
Yeah.
You made them feel less than.
Yeah.
They felt less than
because
of how you were.
Way.
Right.
Because But yeah, that like that. Mm-hmm.
So
that's the thing. All right. Wow. We really
we've been talking a lot.
Talked a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll wrap it up.
Because we're right. This is the
end of it.
No more trauma bond.
So over the trauma bonding.
Yes.
Because we're on the other side of it, which is the healthy version.
Yep.
And it did, I mean, I have to say, it did affect me because thinking of and coming up with the old feelings and situations and things like that. I've been doing a lot of shadow work the last couple of weeks.
Me too. I've learned a lot of stuff in going through it.
And what I needed to work more on and what I still have to work on because I'm always going to be a work in progress.
Oh, yeah. We all are.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll come up with something good next week.
We're always up for suggestions.
Woo-hoo! Yes, please comment, follow, like, share, woo, 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 all of that fun stuff.
Yep. And until then,
Adios.
bye.